majority of so-called leftists are definitely just subservient to whatever the current thing is. If they're ultimately weak-willed people at a spiritual level, at a moral level, and the average leftist will do whatever is popular in the moment. But
I agree with some of that, but I also think there's a big part that's misguided. Like, because I see some guys on the left that I wouldn't have fucking ever talked to in a million years. Like Sean King, there's a perfect example. But I look at like this guy's
is he
really
the one that's
gone.
pretending to be black?
I think so.
Allegedly.
I don't know if he's black. I don't know what.
He's been nice to me now, so
I honestly don't know what his genetic makeup is. I just remember being completely against everything that he preached.
The left is out of control. And that's exactly what Thomas Sowell and Dan Bilzerian and Jake Shields say in this clip, and we're going to watch the entire thing in just a second. So make sure you stay around. Because the left has gotten insane. They do crazy things, and they just step back, and they're just like subservient to whatever's happening at the time. They do all this wild stuff. You need to see the entire clip. It's great. When I'm Jared Wright, this is the right wing. And if you like this content, hit the buttons down below. Hit the like, follow, subscribe, because I post it every single day so that it's easy for you to find and see what is going on in the world right now. Let's dive into the rest of this clip and see what all of them have to say.
We can just go around and do what we want.
they can rape, and if we kill the rapist, we're the ones going to prison.
Correct. Yeah. So, and also regarding leftists, I do agree that the majority of so-called leftists are definitely just subservient to whatever the current thing is. If they're ultimately weak-willed people at a spiritual level, at a moral level, and the average leftist will do whatever is popular in the moment. But
well, I agree with some of that, but I also think there's a big part that's misguided. Like, because I see some guys on the left that I wouldn't have fucking ever talked to in a million years. Like Sean King, there's a perfect example. But I look at like this guy's
is he
really
the one that's
gone.
pretending to be black?
I think so.
Allegedly.
I don't know if he's black. I don't know what.
He's been nice to me now, so
I honestly don't know what his genetic makeup is. I just remember being completely against everything that he preached. And then I saw the sacrifices that he was making to attack Jewish supremacy and to support Palestine and to do some things and real sacrifices. So for me, I think a lot of it comes down to like intent. And I think if somebody's willing to like risk their career and risk a lot of things, you know, like there's the leftists that are doing it to be like, you know, popular or because that's what they're told. And then there's some leftists that are like literally willing to die for this shit. Like Greta Thunberg, like say what you want about her. Like she's going to the fucking mats. You know what I'm saying? Like she's doing a lot more than, you know, some Republican guys that I see eye to eye with on a lot of issues. They're not making the sacrifices that she's making. Say what you want about her. Like I said, she's still like putting it on the line. And so I have a certain level of respect for that, you know, because there's a lot of people that know what the fuck's going on right now and are too scared to say it. And so for me, like I respect courage. That's one of the reasons I, you know, came in to talk to you because like, you know, whether we agree on everything or not, like there's no disputing that you're extremely courageous. You're doing what you believe in and you're putting your fucking life on the line to do it, right? Because you could have gotten out of jail, correct? If you would have just kind of bent the knee.
I think at the bail application, the prosecutor said that we would support bail if Mr. Sewell denounced his political views.
That's what I was told. So, I mean, I gained a lot of respect for you, you know, when you were like, fuck you. So
there's something to this. There's something to this idea that if you're courageous, we can get behind you. If you actually have courage, if you actually will speak out and do things, have the balls to do something like Thomas Sowell, you know what? If you're going to speak out against supremacists of a certain background, religiously or ethnically, that maybe we can get behind you. Maybe we can throw a little bit of support and work together for one common goal. It doesn't have to just be right versus left. We can work together to see something really good happen and then sort out the other issues later. So I like what Dan says here. Let's just keep watching.
For me, I look at actions. You know, I look like, you know, whether or not I agree, because it's okay for everybody not to agree on everything. Yeah. But I judge a person not based on their belief system, but based on their integrity and doing what they believe in. Because, you know, a lot of times when there's two wars being fought, like both sides think they're right. You know, it doesn't make one side bad or one side good, right? Like the people that are actually fighting, that are on the fucking front lines, that are like doing what you're doing, you know, most of them are good people. They're fighting for assholes a lot of times, right? But like the actual soldiers, that was my big wake up thing with the Germans, is like this whole idea that everybody in Germany is bad, or if you're like Nazis are the worst thing. It's like, no, dude, a Nazi was somebody that was born in Germany that, you know, joined the military or was enlisted in the military. That doesn't make him bad because he was born in Germany. And so I just like rejected that entire premise. And I, you know, I had a similar thought process with the, you know, the Afghans, or, you know, as we called them in the military, towel heads, or, you know, sand niggers, or whatever names were used for these people to dehumanize them. Like, you know, they weren't the bad guys. We were fucking invading their country. You know, we're fucking, you know, kicking their door in. Like, what are you supposed to do as a man? You're supposed to grab a fucking gun and defend yourself.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, you know, for me, I truly believe that if people zoom out, I think this Jewish supremacy problem is a very unifying issue.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'll unite with someone if they're against Jewish supremacy and they don't support trannies.
That's my thing. It's
Those are two things I won't fuck with you.
Yeah. I think if you alienate all the liberals, and I agree with what you're saying, a lot of them are misguided, but I think if you just totally write off that entire side, it's very hard to unify and to win.
Well, especially political races.
I think the other factor that's going on, which I was explaining before, is I believe there's also mutational load on society. And what I mean by that is, I think that when a society starts overpopulating to the way that its environment can sustain its population, when you have the density of population in cities, where we're living shoulder to shoulder with each other, whether we're white, black, brown, whatever, you have an increase in homosexuality. You have an increase in what I would describe as social diseases.
But do you feel like that? Because I don't feel like we have that in China. You know, I don't feel like there's a bunch of
China has its own
really?
social. I think China.
But
has
like
its
the
own
gay
social,
shit though.
They don't have gays as much as we have gays, because it's not the social disease. But they have a different social disease where they basically give up on life. They have like a form of.
Okay.
Again, you have to understand the Chinese have a very different biospirit to us. So a social disease that affects white people might not be the same disease that affects, say, Africans or Chinese people. So the Chinese,
but I think it's they've made it cool to be gay. Like, I think that's the problem. Like 40% of Brown University identified it as LGBTQ. That's fucking crazy, dude. Like 40% of universities, clearly that's like a societal thing where, like, look, man, when I was 16, I listened to rap music. I had, like, you know, a fucking car that like blew out my fucking hearing because I thought that was cool, and I had, you know, like, you do things to fit in. Yeah, well, my hearing wouldn't fucking agree, but I'm just saying, when you look back on some of the shit that you do, you're very impressionable as a young person, and so when you're told that it's cool to be gay, or that it's cool to be trans, or that if you're trans, you don't have to listen to your parents and you'll be accepted, and people can't talk bad. They can't bully you if you're trans because, you know, that's persecution. And you know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden, like, your parents can't tell you not to do that. You know, so when you start enforcing this stuff, you are going to create gays and trans from people that aren't even gays and trans.
Dan has a great point here. First and foremost, we have to find a way to unite to get rid of our first and foremost problem. The biggest problem facing our country, our world, our existence. We have to figure out how we can get them out of politics, first and foremost. Secondly, though, he talks about this issue with the whole tranny gay kid thing, and he says, look, it's cool to do that. So, you know, obviously we don't really want to side up with that. Like, if you're that far out there, it's like, we don't really want to be you in this movement per se, but there has to be some form of unification, because there's not enough of us on one side in order to create a government that actually works for itself and for its own nation. So we have to unify and sort out the other issues later. That's his point. He makes a really good point. They also make great points about the leftist ideology and how crazy it is. It is wild, but part of it's just acceptance. Part of it's like, hey, if I come out as gay or trans, then nobody's going to bully me anymore. Nobody's going to say anything to me. I can just do whatever I want. And my parents are going to love me, and it's going to be awesome. That's just part of the liberal ideology. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's not natural. It's against God's order for the earth. I don't stand with it. I really don't. And if you don't stand with it, and if you like this video, make sure to hit the buttons down below. I'm Jared Wright. This is The Right Wing, and I post this content every single day for you so you can see the truth of the world. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.